Hello friends, how are you doing? By now we have been watching different type of videos in context to Django. We know that Django comes up with the default database that is called SQLite, which is basically a structured query language. In fact, in few of my videos I did also work with PostgreSQL, which is also another structured query language. Now my question is Django compatible with non-structured query language? Now what do I mean by non-structured? For example, NoSQL, and that is MongoDB. Well, currently you are seeing the official website of MongoDB, and I have already logged into my account cloud.mongodb.com, and here is where I am already logged in. So the question is, can I work with MongoDB in context to Django? Well, this is what the subject of today's video. So MongoDB is very much compatible with Django as well, and it has got its own working principle, and for that reason I decided to make a separate playlist where different queries, by the way, over here queries are of different type, we will put forward, specifically the CRUD operation. So I will create separate videos to perform different CRUD operation so that you have a complete overview of how PostgreSQL, which is compatible with Django, along with that how MongoDB is equally compatible with Django. But by default Django is not going to support that is called MongoDB. So for that reason you have to install a dependency called pymongo. Pip install pymongo is what you need to do it. So once you do that, see, the pymongo distribution contains tools for interacting with the MongoDB database from Python. Okay, so it supports a binary format. The pymongo package is a native Python driver from MongoDB. So once you install this one, you are good to go with your database, and a very recent release also has taken place. So this is the most updated version of MongoDB driver. So you need to install this one in order to work with your along with PostgreSQL. You can also work with MongoDB. Now at first what you need to do, first you will connect to the MongoDB website, and then you have to create a connection string. Like over here you will find the option called connect. So if you click on the connect, you will come across this kind of windows. Over here we have been provided with different methods by which you can perform connectivity with your project. The one which I am using is a driver. So the native driver is what I am using. If you click over here, you will come across the connection string. So you need to copy this connection string and you need to paste it inside your Django. And look over here very minutely, there are some important things which you need to do it. Well, before you even do that, you need to have the username and password as well. Otherwise, where from you will get this one, the database username, database password. So for that reason, what you will do is that come to the database access over here. If you click over here, you will get different type of username and password. See, you can add new username and password. So you can create a new username and you can go for auto-generated password as well. That's what you can do it. Like I have some of the users over here, as you can see right now. So once you have done that, now you are good to start with. So you come to the connect. Now once you connect to the connect, here you will copy this entire connection string, and after copying the connection string you will put the username right over here without this angular bracket. You will put the username over here without the angular bracket, followed by colon, and then you will put the password without this angular bracket. Fine. Now what you need to do, is it all set? No, you also need to apply one more thing, that is right over here you have to put the database name. So you need to create one database. The database name you have to put over here, and then the connection string is all set to go. So remember, first of all you need to put the username over here, you need to put the password over here, and then you have to, before question mark in note of interrogation, you have to put the database name. Then you can start working with it. Like if I come to the collection, as you know, in case of MongoDB we don't call table, rather we call collection. So in case of NoSQL we don't use a term called table, we use a word called collection, and inside the collection we have got documents. The document are the tuples. So I created one database. If you click over here, you can create a database over here. You can create a collection name. Like I have created one database called my database, and inside that I have created one collection called employee. So this is the table basically. So my database is the database name followed by the name of the table. So table in case of MongoDB is called collections. Inside this table we are supposed to store documents. So as you can see over here, total document is 0 because right now this collection is empty. There is no document present inside this. That's the reason if I refresh it, it will not be able to show any document over here. And the server region which is deployed is the AWS Mumbai. So basically MongoDB is using the AWS service over here. Now document I need to insert, and how do I do that? And there where our Django will comes in. So Django will be responsible for taking, by default you can create a REST API also, you can create template also. So if you create template, then with the help of a front end like framework like Angular or library like React or simple HTML page, with the help of Ajax you will take the input and you pass it directly into your Python Django, and Django will pass the data inside your MongoDB. That is one way of doing it. But the video which I am working on right now, I am emphasizing more on the API part. So what I will be doing is that I have got Postman with me. So with the help of Postman, I will take the input from the user, and I have already created the REST endpoint, the API REST endpoint that is in Django, and then Django will pass the data over here. Don't worry, I will show you the code as well. So let me take you to the code window now. So as I said already, you have to install PyMongo once the installation is done, and once you have created this initial settings. Now let's come to my VS Code. Before I start, I want to tell the difference between MongoDB with that of Postgres. The very first difference is Postgres is structured query language and MongoDB is NoSQL. Now what do I mean by this? Well, in case of NoSQL, we don't call tuples, rather we call documents. So the data which will be getting saved inside your Postgres will be called as like the tuples, but in case of NoSQL we will call it as a document, and moreover this document will be in the form of JSON. Rather in case of SQL, the documents are mostly in the form of rows and columns, right? So this is very important point. Here we are going to work on JSON completely. So that means my Postman is going to send the data in the form of JSON, right? As you can see over here. Well, I have created all the endpoints which I will be showing in the upcoming videos, like you have got post, you have got get. So as you can see over here, this get is going to return all the documents that are there inside a collection. Patch is for update, delete for deleting a particular document, and you have a get which is going to perform a search operation. So specific record will be extracted, or specific document will be extracted from the collection. So in my upcoming videos we will be going through all of these endpoints and see how exactly our Django is going to work with the MongoDB. Okay. Now over here, as I was saying, that MongoDB is all about JSON. So for that reason I have created one JSON object over here, a raw JSON object. JSON means key value pair. So I have got the key like name, age, skill and active, and the value can be of different data types. So the name is a string type, age is integer type, and skill is basically an array type or a list type, and active is a boolean type. So this is what I'm going to pass through my Postman. So this is my REST API endpoint. The same thing you could have done even in case of HTML template also. Now the fact goes is you have to send the data. This is my endpoint, localhost 8000. So as you can understand, in every Django application there is a file that is called WSGI. Let me show you now the Django part, that will be much easier for you, and then we'll come back to this particular note. So let's see a little bit of action, and then we'll get back to this particular theory portion. As we know that every Django project has got a file called WSGI, web server gateway interface. This particular file is responsible for sending data in the form of HTTP request and response. And even if you come to the settings.py, you will find that WSGI is already been set over here. See, WSGI has been the default application. So when you are having WSGI, it means that the client is going to send data to the server in the form of HTTP request and response. So the data can be in the form of text, the data can be in the form of a template, the data can be in the form of a JSON also. Okay, that's how the HTTP request and response actually work. Right now we are working on API, so the data will be in the form of JSON. Fine. And in case of ASGI, that is asynchronous, we are basically working over there in the form of WebSocket, right? And that brings us to the concept called Django channels. Well, already I have started one separate playlist for Django channel, and I would be adding more videos on that in context to Django channel, because it's very important interview questions you will come across. So make sure you go through that particular playlist to understand the detail of Django channels. Nonetheless, in this particular video we are talking about the REST API with that of the MongoDB. So let's us go through the project urls.py. As you can see over here, we have got lots of different endpoints, but the one which I'm targeting right now is API/Mongo. This is the one which I'm targeting. So that's the reason in my Postman, if you see, I have got localhost :8000 then /API/Mongo, and after that it will take me to the respective app. So let me come to the app over here. My app name is called Mongo-app, and of course I have registered this app inside settings.py, which you already know very well. So over here I have got URLs. So see, these are different endpoints which we'll be working on. So as you can see over here, already we have got 5 different endpoints. That means in my upcoming days we are going to work on 5 different videos, where each video will illustrate the different. Should I use the word SQL? No, we should not use the word SQL. Rather, we should use the word called MQL. So MongoDB has a special language called MongoDB query language. So in case of Postgres we have got SQL, but in case of MongoDB we have got MQL. Since SQL is a row and column basis, so that's a reason the tuples which we insert in the database, they are very strict. You cannot change the format. That is not possible. But Django beauty is that it is very flexible. I will show you about this point right now practically. Since it is very flexible, so it is unstructured, but this is rigid, so that's the reason over here this is basically will be structured. That's the reason why we call it as a structured database. Okay, so what do I mean by unstructured? That also you will understand eventually. So we come to this particular endpoint API/Mongo, and that brings us to the app. Over here we have got the register. This is the one first we will be extracting. We will be working on this first, and even in the API also you saw the register endpoint is there. So what is there in the register? So as you can see, it is giving a call to view. So right now we are working on Django function based view, although class based view is also there, but right now we are working on function based view. But before we go to MongoDB, as I was talking about the driver configuration, but where will you implement the driver configuration? That is also very important. So for that reason you will come to the project settings.py. If I come to settings.py, if I scroll up, you will find over here a new information has been added. That is, inside my .env file, in my project I have got .env, which I am unable to open because I have set all my credentials. So inside my .env file I have added a connection string. That's the connection string which we saw just now from the right over here. From here we saw the connection string inside the, let me take you to the cluster. So over here we saw the connection string, that is this one. This entire connection string we have added inside the settings.py, sorry, inside the .env file. Inside the .env file we have added this one, and I have created a variable by the name called mongo_uri. So with the help of load.env, load-env, we are collecting this thing from the .env file, and we are initializing this variable. This variable is actually referring to the connection string. So for that reason, this variable I have to use inside my app. So let's come to the app over here. Now let's go to the register employee. And by the way, like in case of Postgres, we have to modify the data over here, database over here. In case of MongoDB, with the help of PyMongo, you don't have to do anything over here. Leave it as it is. We are not going to do any modification over here, although this is not going to work. So this is something which we will be accessing from my app. So let's come to my app over here, and if I scroll up, there are few things which you have to understand. So first thing is that this particular line I have added. Why? I will tell you after a while. And since I'm working on PyMongo, so this is my package and this is my module Mongo client. So with the help of this you have to implement all activities. Since in my settings I have got the URI of Mongo, driver configuration. That's the reason we are including this package. Now from the settings I have to get the access of my connection string, and that too with the help of MongoDB client. So Mongo client, within parameter I am passing settings dot mongo underscore URI. That will give me the access of the connection string, and that will get stored over here. Now once you have given a call to the connection string, what you are getting? You are getting one reference. Do you know what this reference will let you know? This reference will tell you that in the given connection string how many databases are there. Yes, you rightly heard. If you come over here, there is an option called browse collection. So if I click on the browse collection, you will find that there are, I have got one database, and the name of the database called my database, which I have created, right? This is the database which I have created. So with the help of MongoDB client, you will be able to get the reference, and that reference followed by the method called list underscore database underscore name, it will give you the name of the database which you have created. So let me show you that inside the terminal. As I open my terminal, let me run the application, and here the application comes, and this is going to show me the name of the database. Look, right now I have got one database which I have created called my database. That database name you are seeing over here. So that is coming from client.list underscore database underscore name. So that means MongoDB is able to, inside MongoDB I have created the database called my database. Mongo client is able to extract the name from the cloud.mongodb.com. so my application is able to connect to internet. Not only that, it is able to reach to this endpoint, plus it has able to reach the database details. So with the help of Mongo client, I will be able to get all the database that is present inside your account. I have created the database called my database, and these are the two which is provided by default by MongoDB. Okay, so that is also included. So over here you are basically getting a list. Since you are getting a list, now what you need to do is that I need to work on the specific database. So the database which I need is called my database. So in the list, so as you can see over here I have a list, or you can say it's an array. So with the help of this reference called client, I am saying that client, I need to work on the database called my database. So whatever database name you have given, that you have to mention over here, and that will initialize to a specific database. So out of all the database, you have selected one particular database, and the database name is called DB, right? As we know that inside a database there exist tables. So now you can say that db.list underscore collection underscore name, it will show you the table name. So if I expand my database, I have got one table called employee, and that's the reason why you are able to see even the table name. So let me open the code once again. So previously you saw list underscore database underscore name, that was giving you the database name that exists within this particular account, and now once you select a particular database, it will show you the name of the table that exists within the database. So really beautiful work it's doing, PyMongo, isn't it? So with the help of PyMongo, you are able to get into that data. First you are able to get into your accounts. From there you are able to reach all the database, and from there you are selecting a specific database. So once you select a specific database, it will show you the name of the table, and that also coming in the list form. Right now I have got only one table, but in case I have got another table, okay, let me show you that even. I can create one more table over here by the name called, suppose, office. So I'm creating one table by the name called office. Let me create that. So how many table I have got? I have got two collections. I should not use the word table, rather I should use the word called collection. So office is there, employee is there. So this time if I stop my server and if I restart my server once again, let me clear the screen and let me restart the server. So I'm expecting to see both the collections. See, employee is also there and office is also there, which I've just now created. So that means I have been able to figure out all the tables that exist within a particular database, because I have mentioned in my code that I want to access all the tables, all the collections present inside the database called my database, right? Now out of that we are going to work which particular table? We are going to work on the employee table. So again it's a list or it's an array, so I mentioned db hyphen employee because the name of the reference was db. So whatever name you feel, you can give it. So now you have targeted the specific table or specific collection. So that's where this has been initialized. Now is the time when you will be able to work on the API part. So these are some tasks which you have to do it so that you can reach the specific collection present inside the database. So once you have got the access to the specific collection of a particular database, now whatever input you will be taking on respect to the REST API endpoint, the operation will perform. Since, as you can see over here, let me delete this particular table called office. I want to delete this. Okay, let it be there, no problem, because I am going to work on the employee collection. So I can switch and I can show that after I have inserted data, I am using the word data, but the actual word should be document. After inserting document inside the collection employee, you will see that those documents are present only inside the collection employee, and the office collection would be empty at that point of time, right? Okay, so let's come over here. So now what we will do is that we will fire the REST API endpoint. So over here I have the register endpoint, as you can see. So we reach to the register. So let me show you the urls.py. So if I come to the register, that will take me to the function based view that is called register employee, and we know that the data that will come, it will be in the form of HTTP request, right? So HTTP request, so this is the variable. So whatever input I am going to pass from my Postman, let me close this panel. So whatever input I am going to pass from my Postman, that will be in the form of an HTTP request, right? So let me make it little bit width less, yeah. So as you can see over here, so I have my object ready over here in the form of key value pair. So I have got name, I have got age, I have got skill. Okay, let's consider this skill to be, for the time being, single string, like suppose Spring Boot. This is the skill I have got. Okay, Peter Parker has got, not me, but rather Peter Parker. So when I will click on the submit button, I am passing a JSON. So this entire object will come and get stored over here. And then let me expand this. Don't get scared by the code. The code is very simple. In my previous videos also I have shown you that whenever you are working with database that is over like in the cloud, like previously my PostgreSQL also you can deploy in the cloud as well in their domain. It is always a good practice to make use of exception handling. So this can be one interview question. Tell me something about the exception handling. So, or tell me the scenario where you will be using exception handling. So try except can be a very important practice that you can do it when you are working on database, and that too something like MongoDB, which is deployed in the cloud, not in the local system. Okay, by the way, you can deploy MongoDB even in your local system also, but it's preferable to work in the cloud environment so that you get acquainted with these things. So the data right now comes in the request. So this particular object will come in the request. So from request.get I will be picking up the respective keys. So what are the keys I have got? I have got name. I have got name over here. I have got age. So let me write age over here, which I didn't do. Okay, for the simplicity, let me keep it like this only. Otherwise, I have to change all the code from here. So name is there. So I will go for address. So this is address, and the address, let it be suppose Delhi. DLHI. Okay, and then I have got department, so replace the skill to department. Okay, and that is Spring Boot, and also I have got active. So what I will do is that I will pick up that information. Active equals to request.data.getActive, right? So that information we will be collecting it. So I need to pass this information over here. So let's put a comma over here, and I have the active. This information will get stored even in my collection as well, right? So what I did over here, I took the input from the user respectively on basis of the key that is present inside the JSON, and I've assigned them into the respective variables, right? Now before I fire the Mongo query language MQL, I want to ensure that I have given input to all the attributes. So what are the attribute? Name is there, address is there, department is there, and the active is also there, right? Active is also there. So I want to ensure that I have given information to all these 4 departments, right? So if any one of them is not been filled, then this particular error message will be shown, and it is coming from response, which is coming from REST framework. See over here, response is coming from REST framework, because right now we are talking about the API. Okay, I believe you know this particular decorator @API underscore view is a decorator, because this is a function based view, and this function based view is going to work for my API. And which particular HTTP request it is? It is a post HTTP request. So whenever you are working with the API, you have to use a decorator, and this decorator is Very important, because it is also present under the REST framework decorator. Okay. Now, so after you have taken the validation, after checking the validation, yes, I have given. Now what you are doing, you are creating on one object. So I am creating an object in the form of, basically this is not an object, this is a Python dictionary. So here key value pair are there, so whatever input I have taken, according to that I am creating this dictionary. I am storing inside this variable called document. So this document is of type dic, right? So I can write even that also. This document is of type dic. You can write, you may not write, because type inference is there, but it's a good practice if you write it. Now this particular document, I have to pass it. I have to hand over to whom? I have to hand over to this collection, because this collection is pointing to this particular, let me show you in the browser, this collection is pointed to this particular I have used the reference name as collection, and employee is also the collection, which is basically a table, right? So I'm saying that inside the collection, use the MongoDB query language that is called insert_1 to insert this particular dictionary. Just like the way in PostgreSQL we have used ORM, over here also MongoDB query language is working like an ORM, you can think so. Okay, you can give the reference of ORM over here as well, but this is not the ORM of Postgres, this is the ORM of MongoDB. Okay, so this particular function I will be using to insert the data in the collection, and then I am going to print this particular message that the data has been saved successfully. And now what I want is that while the data is getting saved in the MongoDB collection, I want that a response should also come. What should be the response? The response should be, after inserting the data in the collection, MongoDB will generate something called, okay, let me insert the data, then you will be able to follow. And one thing I didn't write over here, so even active also I have to write. Yes. Now let me fire the record, and before firing the record, let me refresh the table once again, or of my collection once again, to be certain that there is no data present inside my collection. It is 0. There is no document present, right? Now let's come to my Postman and let me fire the query, and as I do that, great, look over here, the information got stored. The information has rightly got stored, and I can see the information what I have given over here. So now let me show you what happened over here, and for that reason I have to reload the tab once again, and if I reload, then you will find that one document got saved successfully, and the information which I have given is right over here. See, when the document gets saved inside your collection, MongoDB will generate one primary key, _ID, which is of type object ID. This is a primary key of this particular document. Please remember, whenever you are inserting a particular document inside a collection in MongoDB, by default MongoDB will generate one primary key that is called _ID, which is of type object. Okay, and that's what I actually got back over here. So let me show you the code. So insert _1, this ORM function, when it gets fired, it is successfully going to insert the data in the MongoDB. That is the point number 1. After inserting, it will even return the response. That means the response will also come back over here. So the response is going to come down right over here. So what is the response? And moreover, as I said, that this print statement will get displayed as the document inserted successfully. That also got displayed in the server. Very good. Now the response that I have got, that response I want to send it back to my front end, because my Postman is working as a front end API. Like right now it's a Postman is a front end, but it can be Android also, it can be iOS also. They also need to know whether the transaction was successfully executed or not. So for that reason, I'm creating one again, a JSON object. Basically it is again not JSON, it is again going to be a dictionary, because still we are inside the Python Django. So I'm writing what? I'm writing, see over here what I have written over here. So I have written over here the message, that this message will be shown over here, and then I'm creating another object. This object I have given the name as a customer employee. It should not be customer, I'm working on the employee table, so better I should use the word called employee. So let me change this and put over here the word employee. That will be good enough. So employee is there. As I was saying, that the data which got saved in the MongoDB collection, by default it has got object ID. So that object ID has been stored over here. That means after this ORM got executed successfully, this ORM picked up the reference, this particular information, it picked up and it stored that information inside the result. Now the problem is, this particular data is actually in the form of an object. It's an object type. So I have to convert this object type into a string type. So for that reason I've written str. Please take a note of this, because in my upcoming days also this will become a very important issue. When you are storing data in the MongoDB, the primary key is of type object ID, but this object ID directly you cannot work in the front end. So you have to convert the object ID into a string type, and the result that got stored in the result dot inserted underscore object refers to this particular ID. So that I have converted into a string type, and after converting string type I stored in the variable called ID, and the following information were all coming from the respective variables. Name was there, address was there, department was there, everything is coming from there. So see one thing, this particular ID is what? Last three values are 55B, and if you come over here also you will see 55B. That means the MongoDB SQL query has successfully able to fired, and it has been able to insert the data. Along with that, it has able to retrieve the data from the MongoDB collection, and then it has forwarded the data inside my Postman, and the reason why I am seeing this particular output. If you look the note which I said that MongoDB SQL is of unstructured data. Now why am I saying this unstructured? Because over here the department it has mentioned is only the string. But what if I want to make it as a list? That also I can do it. Maybe an employee is going to work with multiple departments. So let me do this way. I have a list, and in the list I am going to write the department. Suppose the department is iOS. This is one department. Similarly, the person is also going to work with Android. So this is also another department, and there is one more department called, let it be like okay, let's go with another department called Python. So the previous employee was working on a single department, that was Spring Boot, but this particular employee is going to work with three different departments, and for that reason I have got a list. I've got one array, right? So the name of the employee is, suppose, my name. Let me put my name, Swaroop Shah. So this is my name. Oh, in between I have got Kumar also. So this information I want to pass, and I am from Kolkata. So that what I am passing, and the active is true. So now what happens? So when I will fire this, previous employee, if you see, it was of type string. The department was of type string. Let me reload the page once again. It is of type string, but now I have sent the data in the form of an array. See, only one document is there. I'm sending the data in the form of an array. So this is what called unstructured, because you have the flexibility to change the record format as and when it works. And that's the reason why in machine learning we have got structured data, we have got semi-structured data, we have got unstructured data also. So for that reason, in case of MongoDB, you will come across this format, but in case of SQL, the data is in more structured format. So this is something which is quite important. And one more thing is there, that is, in case of SQL, we have got something called join, where more than one table are been interrelated with some relationship. But in case of Django, we have got something called embedded documents. So that is something which we'll discuss in future. Nonetheless, now let's fire this particular object from the Postman, and as I do that, the data got saved successfully. See here, the data came up, and we have got the message active also. And now let's come to my MongoDB and let's reload the page to see that what change that has taken place inside my collection. So right now I have got two documents. The total number of document is 2, and the document that got generated last was 4BD. That was the document which got generated. So let's come to the Postman to see whether it has able to retrieve correctly or not. Exactly, it is 4DB. So you can see how array got generated in case of department. This is something which I was telling is your data will vary because it is unstructured, not necessarily that it will always follow the same structured mechanism. Okay. So and finally we saw that how my view is going to work. I believe this is fine, and the return is also of type response, which is basically going to send me the data in the form of a JSON, because again response is coming from my REST framework. As you can see over here, you are sending data in the form of a dictionary. Response has to convert the dictionary format into a JSON format so that my front end can accept the data, and if the response is successful, it will give you the HTTP success code of 201, and if there goes some issue, then HTTP 500 will come in picture. So my dear friend, in this particular video we learned how to set up Django with MongoDB, and we also saw how to create a REST API endpoint that takes the data from the user with the help of Postman and finally store the data inside my MongoDB collection. So data that is getting saved is in the format of what? In the format of JSON. And again, let me write one more information before I wrap up this video. So suppose over here I have got two address, so for that reason I can even write a list over here. So let it be a list over here. So somebody is staying in Chennai and the same person has also got residence in Pune, and let me put an comma over here, and the domain the person is working is suppose UI and UI oblique UX, and over here suppose he or she is also working in Figma, and the name of the employee is suppose John Carter. Okay, so let me remove the Python. So this is the information which I have generated. So let me save the data. As I do that, the data got saved successfully. The ID has been shown, that is over here 84BE. So let's come over here, let's reload the page and let's see whether it is 84. What was the thing? It was 84BE. So let's come over here. There are three documents and the last document is 84BE, and it has got two arrays right now. This is the address is also an array with index 0 Chennai, 1 Pune, and the department is also 2 with 0 and 1 respectively. So finally, with that we come to an end of this particular video. This is the very first video in this particular collection of Django with MongoDB, and as I said, there are more videos to follow because we have got these REST API endpoints. So in my next video I will be talking about how to fetch data, from the REST API, okay, to fetch all the data from the REST API. So please stay tuned with my channel and see you soon. Bye bye.